Okay, Mike Merlin means Merlin Public Media, Talkin Shit with Merlin, and we got a double blind today. I know of this gentleman and he knows of me, but we don't know anything about each other really. So we're just gonna have fun with it and have just another Talkin Shit with Merlin. So tonight with me is
Hey, my name's Daniel Messer. How y'all doing?
pretty good. Who the hell is Daniel Messer?
I'm a librarian. I mean, that's how I introduce myself because that's what I am by passion and by profession. But I am a lot of things, but librarian is pretty much the first thing I always introduce myself as. So, hi, I'm your friendly neighborhood cyberpunk librarian.
Ah, yes. So an actual librarian, or do you have your own library which you have built and maintained?
Librarian. I've worked in public libraries for better part of 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I literally got started out of high school. I was like 19 years old when I first got a job at a library, and I never left. So,
Okay. What is it
um,
that you do for said library?
well, I work for a company called Library Systems and Services, and what we do is we do a lot of things. What I do is I run sort of their computer systems that basically power the day-to-day business aspects of a library. So the whole checking stuff in, checking stuff out, patrons and all the, any fines and fees and the catalog and all that stuff. There's a system called Polaris ILS. It's just one of many other library systems like that. And I consider myself an expert on it because mostly I've used it for 20 years. So, you use anything for 20 years, you're going to get good at it. So I do that for libraries across the country, probably 23 of them. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah, it's a fun job. I am probably one of the most blessed people on earth because I absolutely love what I do. And for me, going to work is a pleasure. And the funny thing is, I've got a podcast that I do called CyberPunkLibrarian, and my sort of running joke is I do library stuff even when I'm not getting paid to do library stuff. So that's why I
Okay.
introduced myself as a librarian
As a
first. Everything
librarian.
else kind of comes after that.
So where do we find your podcast?
CyberPunkLibrarian.com is the easiest
Okay.
place to go. It's I'm actually working on a new episode of the show. It's been on hiatus for about a year just because of life shit.
No, I get that. I do.
Yeah. I finally was able to sort of get back in the writing saddle again, but because of the timing that came up, I do multiple podcasts, and one of them is a paranormal, ghostly, spooky podcast called AM 800 WRTH. And by the time I was able to sort of get back into writing stuff again, it's like, well, I actually need to write that first because October 31st was what
Yes.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have it out before. so yeah, there's a new episode coming. I promise. But yeah, that's a place you can find most, if not all, of my work in podcasting.
Okay, so I did lie a little. I listened to a couple episodes.
Oh, thank you. I hope you enjoyed them.
I enjoyed the episode, but I really liked your use of music, Foley, etc.
Oh, good.
It brings it a little more to life than a lot of other. I'm sitting here telling a story, which is the common thing, but your tech work on there was wonderful. It made the episode that I listened to.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. That's actually the hardest part of it. Writing that's pretty simple because I kind of know what I want to do. I kind of know where I want the story to go. There's always bumps and changes, and I literally rewrote the first 2 episodes because they just were not working. But when it comes to the sound effects and the music, that's where I can go into the weeds for weeks because no, that's for those who are listening along, this year's show was about basically a haunted ambulance crew. And no joke, I probably listened to 2.5 hours of different sirens because it's important. You've got to have sirens, and the sirens have to be right. And even worse, when I was a kid, my parents lived across the street from one of the busiest hospitals in Yakima, Washington. I grew up listening to nothing but ambulance sirens, so I've got opinions. So I'm glad you liked it. And yeah, the sound effects and stuff like that, that comes from just a love of old radio shows and stuff like that, where they of course didn't have as easy as I do, where I can, if an effect doesn't go off properly, I have an undo button. But some
Yeah.
of that stuff was
Hmm.
done live, and if someone knocks the box full of tambourines off the table during an episode of The Shadow or something, like, well,
Yeah,
that's what's
it's
in there.
done.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of sound effect and music background for live
Hmm.
theater,
Yes.
and we did two Christmas shows a number of years ago.
Hmm.
And they took place in an old radio studio during a radio drama production, and they
Nice.
had the Foley guy on stage, off to the
That's
side,
cool.
just in front of the proscenium. Nice little spotlight on him, doing all the effects in real time, and that was a joy.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
That sounds like exactly something I'd enjoy. Now, quick catch up and a little bit of truth here, because yeah, I checked out your Facebook and stuff and saw that you do theater and stuff like that. I'm before I got into libraries, right out of high school, I was a theater technician. The high school I went to, AC Davis High School in Yakima, they had a honest to God stage, like a professional stage at this high school with a fly gallery and lights and a
Oh.
catwalk. And the guy that ran it, the teacher for that, was a guy named Jim Sollers. And if he's watching on Facebook, because it's quite possible, hi, Jim. I still think about you literally every day. Uh, Literally one of the best teachers I've ever had, if not the best teacher I ever had. And one of the great things about that is when I graduated high school, I had a job at the local Capitol Theater in Yakima, Washington, because I already knew how to do the job and he had the connections to
Hmm.
get me the interview. So yeah, I mean, I love doing technical theater. It
Hmm.
was so good. And I got paid to see concerts,
Yeah.
and I got paid to watch Joan Baez. I got paid to meet Joan Baez.
Wow.
And it was the easiest gig ever because I was on follow spot. Dude, it's Joan Baez.
Yeah.
It's not like she's out there dancing across the stage and,
Uh-huh.
raising hell with her hands.
Yeah.
She came out, she sat on her stool, she picked up her guitar, I locked down the follow spot, and then I just watched the concert. It was the best. The only reason I left was because it was good money, especially 1994 money. I was getting
Mm,
paid like $15 to $17 an hour, depending
yeah.
on the position. But you only work when there's a show in town,
Right.
so you could starve to death in
Yes.
between. So I needed something else, and I kind of just got on at the local library. My dad had worked there for ages. So the people that, the lady that hired me had known me since I was small.
Mm,
And it was just supposed to be a job, just whatever,
yeah.
job, something to get through. And I wasn't supposed to like it, and it turns out that I did. And 30 years later, here I am. So,
Mm, yeah. I did. I was a lighting guy almost exclusively.
mm,
And, I did work on and off, and, I moved out here and with Juanita, and um, art in a small desert town isn't. Well, it isn't.
yeah.
Couple failed community theaters. One got off the ground that did well. They're still going. I'm not working with them anymore. Um, Two production team gigs. Me and two sound guys put together a production team, lighting, sound, staging, and then another one, and then well, with the exception of one of them, fuck those guys. Um, and I went on to do some myself, and then I got diagnosed with really, really just at the initial diagnosis was terminal lung disease.
Oh, Jesus.
And about that time, I'm realizing I can't do this shit.
Hmm.
I can't carry the trees and set them up and, run the gig and pack them up. And so I shut that down, and started doing a radio station for a while. I freelance every once in a while. I do some video every once in a while. And, but, my time out is limited physically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but this I can do, and this
Mhm.
is actually at the moment what remains of what was Merlin Public Media, which was a full-on radio station. And I guess the mistake I made was playing what I liked to listen to.
No, I understand that. Yeah. I've got friends in the DJ community, and yeah, that the worst thing is having to play music you don't like.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's basically long short my life, and now I'm doing this and I'm talking to you. And so if I didn't miss my mark, you are also a musician.
Yes, yeah, keyboards behind me.
Uh-huh. That's kind of a giveaway.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not for decoration, though right now it is. I haven't played it in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm a keyboardist. Anything with black and white keys that's not a pipe organ, because damn, that's complex. Um, I tried once, and I just, I did like the first 5 bars of Toccata and Fugue, because that's literally all I know, and it
Mm-hmm.
sounded shit. And it's just like, okay, well, I'm not. Yeah, this is something best left to the professionals. But yeah, anything with black and white keys. I've got a guitar somewhere over there on the floor. But I can also play drum kit, congas. I can play bass guitar, but almost anybody can play bass guitar. There's a difference between playing bass guitar and playing bass guitar well, and I fall very much into the former part of that. Yes, I can play bass guitar, but I am sure as hell not Leyland Sklar or anything like that, you know. But yeah, I got into music when I was 5 years old. And the funny thing is that my music taste didn't really change all that much, because what got me into music was, strangely enough, Vangelis.
Okay, love it.
Yeah, I was kind of a PBS kid.
Mm.
Um, not by, not by my parents forcing me or anything. It's just that that's where the Muppets were, and I'm a huge Muppets fan.
And Doctor Who
And
is there.
yes, there was that occasionally, usually during pledge drives. Um, yeah, we didn't get the
Yeah.
Doctor Who unless they needed money. Same with Red Dwarf.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the sort of like the first formative thing where I realized that I really like music as a thing was watching Cosmos by Carl Sagan.
Mm-hmm.
And Vangelis did the entire soundtrack for that thing. And then I found out that, right about that time, I became aware of this movie called Chariots of Fire,
Uh-huh.
and he did the music for that.
Mm-hmm.
And, that kind of got me into it. Then soon after that, I learned about this little movie called Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it just kind of spiraled and spiraled
Yeah,
and
yeah.
spiraled. And Vangelis is literally the reason I play piano. There's plenty of other musical influences that have come along since then, but damn near everything I do is a poor attempt to sound like Vangelis. Yeah.
See, I bought my very first computer because I wanted to do non-chromatic music.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a bit before your time, but the original black and white Astro Boy.
Oh yes,
The
yes.
music in the background. I kept
Mm-hmm.
looking for
Yeah.
stuff like that, and I didn't find it till I was in my teens. But at
Right.
that point in time, you've got like Rick Wakeman is out there. You've got Kraftwerk, Tangerine Dream,
Mm-hmm.
all of those gods in my mind. And of course, the only thing I've never done with a computer is non-chromatic music.
Well, you got time. I mean, get on it.
Well, I may well. I have a whole bunch of little projects I'm working on in the background, and we'll see what goes. And
Same.
yeah, I've got a MIDI keyboard back there, and I've got software, and it's just the day is get up, let the chickens out, feed them, handle the gardens, do what you can, give them lunch, do what you can, give them dinner, put them to bed, and in between you try and have a life.
Yes. Yeah. No, I get that. Except it's not with chickens. It's, my daughter and family and stuff.
Okay. Yeah,
My son moved out to Seattle. I mean, he grew up because apparently that's what kids do. I'm not into it, but
yeah.
he decided he wanted to have his own life. I mean, what the hell? She's 16 now, and she's got her first job, and she's starting to drive and shit like that. But yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same thing. Get up, take care of pretty much everything else, and
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in there, hopefully you can do something yourself to,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
That's I look forward to these nights because um I I'd like to do this more often than I do. And
Hmm.
I'm working on that. And there's other things, like you say, life gets in the way.
Yeah,
And it kind of does. And but yeah, I'm playing around with this. I'll see where it takes me. And I'd like to get the station back up. And but
that'd
yeah,
be great.
I had, well, okay. Mornings were podcasts.
Hmm.
Afternoons started into things like interviews with musicians and bands and artists, and then early evening would be like a lot of prog, symphonic metal,
Mm.
um things of that ilk, experimental shit. And then wrap it up with classical overnight from about 11 o'clock till 6 in the morning.
Yeah, that
And
sounds great.
I, yeah, well, there's not enough of us that think that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I discovered this well, discovered. I mean, it was always there. I just became aware of it. There's this station up in Louisville, up north from me. WXOX, I think that's right. And it's a community radio station. It's low power, and they're kind of in that vein. I mean, anybody can sort of come in and start, if they can get on the schedule, they can start doing what they want. I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of certification they have to get to be on the air because, like I said, I've got friends that are DJs. So
Hmm.
last I checked, you still have to get some kind of FCC clearance. But and and it's exactly that. They just kind of do whatever they want. I mean, you can tune it at any given time, and the only thing that you can be sure of is it sure as hell wasn't what you heard last time you tuned in. And I love that. I mean, as a teenager, I got real sick and tired of the top 40
Mm,
stations and stuff where you tune in and yeah, okay, that song was good the first 50 times I heard it. And
right.
now here comes number 51. And
Hmm.
yeah, I just I love those, that's why I love college radio and stuff like that, where it's like, yeah, what the hell? They're gonna play something insane, and I'm not gonna hear this stuff before or ever again,
Right.
probably. But that's the fun of it.
Yeah, you just don't know what they're going to hit you with. And, that it keeps it interesting. And sometimes
Hmm.
you may tune in and go, nah, I'm not doing this. And
Yes.
other times you're like, what the hell was the name of that song?
Yeah.
And you didn't tell me the name of that song.
Hmm. That thank God for Shazam and tools like that, because at least
Hmm.
now, I don't have to. At best, I could Google lyrics,
Yeah.
but that's sometimes you couldn't even understand the goddamn lyrics. So,
Yeah.
article, how do you spell article? So, but yeah, I mean that I love that kind of stuff. It's just one of those things that there's so many things I'd love to be involved in if I didn't, have to if I didn't choose to do library stuff. So
Well, something's got to pay the bills.
exactly. And like I've said before, I absolutely love what I do. So, what the hell? I can't complain.
Yeah. I mean, you can, but why? I mean,
Yeah, exactly. What would I complain about? I
yeah.
mean, it's
Yeah.
everybody has shit days at work, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like that. It's like the what was it? Cypress Hill said, it's a fun job, but it's still a job.
Mhm. Yeah, that my best times were when I was working on a stage or doing concerts and shows and stuff, locally here. I
Hmm.
mean, you get up and yeah, you work like a demon for the
Hmm.
first few hours, and then you step away and let the sound guys go nuts because by the time you're done as a lighting guy, they're not even close.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you wait for them and then sound check, and so you got a long break in there sometimes, and then during the performance, the sound guys are going crazy.
Hmm.
And I'm just kind of like sitting at the control board there going da 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 da.
Yeah.
And it's basically sitting on your ass, and then you tear it down, pack it up, and take it home.
Hmm.
And it's good work if you can get it.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a lot of it, which is why I started doing the photography and the video and all the other, kind of round it all out and stuff. But
Hmm.
anybody wants to buy a nice lighting rig? I got one for sale.
I wish I did. Damn, that lighting was fun when I was back in
It
theater. I mean,
is.
that was lighting and sound. That's what I loved. I mean, Fly Gallery was okay, but I mean, it just wasn't as fun. I mean, simple as that. And
It,
especially, like the Capitol Theater in Yakima, Washington, they had this massive, of course, soundboard, with
mm.
I don't even know how many pots and sliders and stuff like that. But Jesus, I mean, far more than you needed. I mean, I never saw them actually fill that board. There was always room left over.
Mm.
And the couple times I got to work, it's just like, oh, beautiful.
So I'm assuming that was pre-LED for the lighting.
Mostly, yeah. LED was starting to come up, kind of getting into the world then, but it was expensive at the time. I
Uh,
mean, and a lot of it was, at least what I knew about it, a lot of it was in like at the time, the newfangled computer controlled stuff like IntelliBeams and stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
They would have LEDs, but yeah, when I was doing my thing, it was still, some of it was still arc lights. I
Oh
mean,
my God.
yeah, no shit. At Davis High School, I hope to God it's still there. They had they had a spotlight in the far back of the auditorium that was an honest to God arc light spotlight. This thing, it was dangerous as hell. That's why it was so
Yes.
cool. And there was nothing in that building that could throw that kind of light. I mean, we had two follow spots down on each corner of the balcony,
Mm-hmm.
and this thing was in the far back, and you could put, both of these follow spots on one target and then use the arc light in the back, and it was no contest.
No,
It was like the sun and moon. God, that was, yeah, that it was still around. I mean, that was still there. We didn't use it much, but it came up.
I worked one in probably 76 or 77. And it was like a community centennial kind of celebration. There were two
Mhm.
of them. And because I was experienced, I got the one whose feed was broken. I had to manually keep my arc. Yeah, good times.
Yep, yep. We actually learned about that. I never had to do it, but it was always one of those things that was in the back of your mind that if this, if the little tiny motor or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
failed, you're gonna have to learn. It's just gonna have to dial that. And if that starts to fade, well, you better turn it up a little
Yep.
bit, because
Yep.
God help you if it goes dead, because now you got to restart it.
Oh
And
yeah, and that
Jesus,
just
yeah.
takes for bloody ever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a huge, well, and that's why we didn't use it that much. That
Mm-hmm.
do you really want to, let a bunch of high school students loose with a goddamn arc spotlight? What's the worst that could happen? This building is made of brick.
Yes, but the inside isn't.
Right. Oh, it was the best. It was one of the best theaters in the world. Yeah, I'm biased as hell, but God, it
Of
was a
course you
fantastic.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good theater is well, and our local high school did a retrofit about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um and they brought me in because nobody in this town knew a damn thing.
Well, that's a good reason to bring you in.
So, I mean, what's a dimmer room? Okay. But it was DMX controlled 2.4K dimmers. There was 112 of them.
Okay, Jesus.
And then luckily the patch was entirely electronic.
Oh, that's cool.
No manual patch. You don't have to plug, unplug. So you just go through and you patch, circuit 27 to dimmer 3 and blah, blah, blah. And then it's done.
Mhm.
But nice board, it was so new when I walked in that when you brought up a light, you smelled the new paint burning.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know. It's a
I
lovely
know
smell.
that.
It's a
Oh,
lovely smell.
yeah, yeah, I know that because we broke in a couple new spotlights like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
fun. I spent some time working there, did some shows there and community theater there. And But like I say, it's a small town. The opportunities for art are, well,
Yeah.
super slim.
And
We have a bunch of really great local bands that get paid nothing
mhm.
because they just want to play. I mean, I want to play. And some of these guys, I mean, they're just astounding, but yet, they're not, they're doing it for fun and they know it too.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and in some ways I was the same way. It's like I knew I was never going to make a living with my music.
Mhm.
That's, number one, I wasn't good enough. I mean, I'm okay, but I'm not friggin', uh, Hollywood talent or anything like that. I enjoy doing this, and yeah, and we get the same thing here in Bowling Green because it's
Wait, you're
South
in
Central
Bowling Green?
Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Oh, wow, man, cool.
Yeah,
Been through. It's
yeah.
been a long time, but I've been through.
I bet you wouldn't notice much change. I mean, we've got a few more restaurants. That's kind of what it comes down to. WKU still right up the street, it's still
Hmm.
there. But I mean, we get the I've gone to some pubs and stuff like that where they'll have live music and local bands and stuff like that. And it's one of those things like down here, especially in Kentucky, it is literally the bluegrass state.
Yes. I'm
And
still here, by the way.
no,
My
it's cool.
my camera's glitchy a little bit right
I
now.
got you. No worries. But it's literally the bluegrass state. And I've seen some of the best damn bluegrass musicians that I have ever heard, and I've listened to bluegrass all my life. Um, and just the sad truth of the matter is yeah, this guy up here plays banjo, as good as if not better than Earl Scruggs, and this woman on violin is the fiddle player is just as good as Alison Krauss, but so are like 5 to 10 other people that are playing in Bowling Green this very
Yeah,
night. I mean, it's just you've got this wealth of talent, and there's just not a market for it, or at least not a big enough market for it,
yeah.
unfortunately.
I lived in Nashville for about a year,
Hmm.
and I'm not a country music guy. Don't even make that mistake.
Sure, sure. And really, I'm not either. I like bluegrass, and bluegrass is not country.
No, it's not.
At
It's
least it's not that country.
Yeah. Um, but there was this little bar around the corner from the restaurant I worked at, and if you stopped in on the right night, I mean,
Hmm.
top name stars would just come in, get up on the stage, and just start jamming. And I'm sitting out
Yep.
there going, "Is that guy somebody? You don't know?" No, I don't.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm the same way. I mean, I know some of them because members of my family are into country music, and
Mhm.
that's fine. That's their gig. I don't subject them to my ambient and space music either. So we have a I guess we have what you could call detente or something like
Mhm.
that. So and my wife, bless her heart, she's not a big fan of the sound of the banjo, and I think the sound of the banjo is one of the greatest things in a goddamn world. So
Okay, I'm going to
we'll
side with your wife on that
we'll
one. So,
yeah, no, and I understand it. I totally get it. And same thing with her. I mean, she didn't grow up listening to Flat and Scruggs or
no,
Ralph Stanley and the
right.
Clinch Mountain Boys and shit. So I get it. It's an acquired taste, and I started acquiring it at the age of like 3 or something like that. So yeah, we'll go to these concerts or something, or not really a concert, but like I said, we'll just go to a pub and there's a band there, and I'm freaking out over how good this person is, and she's like, "Yeah, I guess they're fine."
Yeah, I was.
But
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you're right about like small towns and art, unless you happen to live in, yeah, you get lucky and you happen to live in a small town that's its thing, is its art,
Yeah.
and those obviously exist,
Hmm.
but obviously not where you're at is the
Well,
problem. So
this is I'm I'm next door to a small casino town, and that's where 80% of the community works, and it's working class kind of, but everybody is
mhm.
working in, and I'm going to lose the word here. Hmm. there's no production here. Everything
Yeah,
is support, restaurants, bars,
right. It's like the service industry kind of thing.
that's what I was looking for, and I could not find that
Yeah.
to save me. Thank you. But yeah,
My boy.
we're a service oriented community, and you're working. If you're good in the service, you are working the weekend. That's it. If you're
Yeah.
good in the kitchen or good waitress or good bartender, you work the weekend. So like the weekends are light. But we've got more than our fair share of bars, and almost all of them have somebody in there on the weekend. But
Hmm.
and yeah, I'm calling out the local bars because you guys don't pay these guys dick, and they
Hmm.
bring people in
They rarely do.
and they bring up your till, and you hand everybody maybe $100 or 400 for a group of 6 guys, and if they did not love what they did, they would not bless you with their presence, because that's what's happening. You're not
Absolutely.
paying them to be there, they're blessing you with their presence.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
100% agree with you on that.
yeah, we're kind of middle of nowhere. I love the desert. I mean, I don't know if you have any idea where Bullhead City is.
I do. Yes, I do. I've been through there.
That's where I'm
I,
at.
yeah, I've been all. The only place I haven't been in Arizona is I don't think I ever set foot in Yuma. Not because of any reason, just because I'd never
Never got
had.
there.
Yeah, just never went to Yuma. But in 14 years, yeah, I explored as much of the state as I could. It's beautiful.
I love it here. The wife one day is just like, get in the car, drive,
Mhm.
go here, go here, go here. Okay, stop, pull over, I'm driving. And the next thing you know, we're alongside the Grand Canyon,
Mhm.
which I've seen pictures of my whole life. And she's like, you'd wrecked if you'd have been driving when you first saw that.
Yeah.
You had to not be driving. And you've got that. I mean, just the open desert to me is glorious.
Mhm.
Um, the meteor crater down there. Have you been down to
Yes.
that? Oh,
Yes. Yeah. Meteor crater. What still blows my mind, even to this day. I mean, I could, leave right now and wake up in Sedona
mm,
and still not get over just how red it
mm-hmm,
is. And you can see pictures, you can see color corrected pictures that are
mm-hmm.
absolutely perfect, and you hold it up and you're looking at the picture and it's the same color as the rocks, but it's still not the same color
No,
as the rocks. It's
it's
not.
not.
You
You
can't
can't.
reproduce that. It's something different.
Yeah,
And one of my favorite places in the world, literally.
I love it there so long as I stay away from the commercialization
Oh
in the
yeah.
city.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it's horrible.
because I am I'm pagan.
Hmm.
I'm not a new ager,
Hmm.
but there's a very powerful piece of earth there.
Yes, there is.
And they're just blaspheming it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And I back you up on that. I'm Wiccan. So
Oh,
yeah,
well,
so
very neat.
yeah, so it's the same thing. It sounds stupid, which is why I don't bring it up like right away in any conversation, but there is a damn vibe to that place. When
Mm-hmm.
you get close to Sedona, you start to feel different.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are standing in Sedona, you do feel different. It
Oh
is,
yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
5 minutes in Sedona is nothing like 30 minutes in Phoenix.
Mm-mm.
It's a totally different place. So yeah, I absolutely back you up on that. I mean, it's weird, it's wonderful, it's wild. I mean, one of my favorite ambient musicians lives there. I think he still lives there. I think he does. I don't know.
Who would that be?
I think that's Steve Roach. He's
Oh,
I think
yep.
he's either in Sedona or Tucson, and now I can't remember. Shit. Oh well. Anyway, one of them. Both are beautiful, but Tucson does the same vibe. There is no place in Arizona that has that vibe.
No,
So,
I've not been
and
any
you're right.
place that has
It's
it.
last time I was there about 4 or 5 years ago. Um, they were having a real problem at the time because no one owned anything anymore. It was all bought up by real estate speculators that were doing fucking Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me want to puke.
Yep.
Just
No, I got you. And it's been a bit longer since I've been there. And, once you get into the city, it's just like, let's turn around and go back.
yeah, yeah. I'll go into the city to have lunch or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but then, I want to go out where the rocks are red because that's
Mm-hmm.
why I'm there.
Mm-hmm. Grab my cameras and some water and maybe a compass and go.
Yeah, that's what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful piece of land.
Yeah. I haven't even thought about that there in a number of years, and probably because that last experience with the commercialization just kind of like turned me off quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. I had heard something that they were trying to do something about the Airbnb infestation, for lack of a better word, but I don't know if they ever did. I mean, I was there for probably maybe 6 hours 4 or 5 years ago because we
Mm-hmm.
were just passing through and it was like, oh wow, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
We got to go to Sedona.
Mm-hmm. Have you been up to the Avenue of the Giants?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, it's like number two spiritual spot that I've been up with the giant redwoods up in Northern California. And
Oh yeah, no, I know I haven't been. Yeah, it's one of my places that I want to go, but um farthest north I've been in California really is Sacramento. And
okay.
yeah, and that was I flew in. So it's not like I drove up there.
Yeah.
California's one of those places that I love to visit, but God, I couldn't live
Oh
there.
no.
I just
Oh, just hell no.
yeah.
Except maybe Humboldt County. I can hang out there for a while.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, just what little experience I've had of that. It's like, yeah, that's a place that I could deal.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We went to, I forget, there was a town up there, but we were up there on vacation, the family and all. And I've got my pentagram out and talking to this guy, and he's like, "You're right at home here, man. Just relax. These are your people." And I'm like, "Wow, cool."
Yeah. Because believe me, this is the Bible Belt down here. I get looks occasionally.
Oh, I'm pretty much in a, yeah, very similar situation. Very
Hmm.
similar situation. The even our local Unity Church has a little bit of fear issues for the local Christians. So, and
Yeah.
understandable. I mean, and, and I'll tell anybody that wants to listen, but you got to give me a reason, generally speaking, to come out and say it first. Like I just talking to you, I'm like, yeah, this guy's cool. I can bring this shit up, and
Yeah.
we'll be okay.
Yeah. It's not going to bug me.
Yeah, yeah,
Turns out.
yes, as it turns out, yeah.
Yeah. But
So
really, the saving grace of Bowling Green and Alvaton, I actually live in Alvaton, which is like if you blink, you don't notice you've changed towns. It's one of
okay,
those kinds of things.
mm-hmm,
The saving grace is that it's a college town.
mm,
So, that helps. You've got,
yes,
a more open mindset. You've got college people that are, you know, they're willing to try new things, weird things, whatever. So, some dude, especially some middle-aged, Gen X dude walking around with a pentagram around his neck is really not strange at
mm-hmm,
all, given givens. So, but you go into depending on which, pub or something we wind up in and what the vibe is like and there, yeah, maybe that goes into the shirt and we'll just not
uh-huh,
worry about that while we're
yeah,
here,
yeah,
because I don't think I'm going to get into a bar fight or something like that, but I don't need the confrontation.
right, no, mm-hmm. That I'm
I'm
just
here.
trying to relax and live my life and have a bit of a good time, and yeah, I don't need that shit. And
Yeah, I'm here to drink beer and have a good time, not to wonder if that person over there is staring at what's
mm-hmm,
hanging around my neck.
mm-hmm.
So
And see, like even the tie-dye look here gets me looks here.
I mean,
What are
I
you,
just
some kind of hippie? Yes, actually, yeah, I'm some kind of hippie.
congratulations, you succeeded in your perception check. Fantastic. Must have taken extra points in that one. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, and what business is it of theirs anyway? I mean, what's it affect them? The person that might have asked you that, did they even think about you 20 minutes later?
No, they didn't.
It's just, yeah, I, I don't get it. And the older I get, the more I don't get when it comes to that shit. It's like,
Oh, let me tell you, that is so true. I don't leave the house much. I mean,
mhm.
first I have trouble doing it, but second, there's too many people out there.
There is, I get it. And the funny thing is, I vacillate between both sides where even though I work at home, I'm working on computer servers and I don't have to really talk to anybody but my family and my coworkers online. Um, every now and then I do have to travel and go to an actual, oh my God, physical library and go through the doors and be there in person.
Mhm.
And when I do everything I can to get behind a front desk and help people because I love that. And I love that for just about 8 hours a day. And then the rest of the time I am recovering from that. And it's just, I like helping people, but God damn people.
Goodness. Yeah, people are I don't know. I've been lucky enough to meet some really cool people here
Hmm.
and some of exactly the opposite. But and you kind of watch what you say and you kind of I don't know, I'm not I won't hide it,
No, I mean,
but
I'm not looking to hide it either, but I
yeah,
don't need to advertise either.
right.
So,
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to what's going on that website of yours because it looked, let me tell you, that thing looked seriously busy.
well, it's not. That's the funny thing. I mean, the WRTH series that I just finished on the God, it wasn't the 31st. It was the Friday before the 31st, whatever that date was. Um,
Bringing that
that
one
was
close, huh?
yeah. Well, I try and if I can land the last episode on Halloween, I do. But it fell on like a Tuesday. And it's like, no, I'm not going to break it up over the weekend. That's lame. That's boring.
Mm.
So I just did it that, four episodes in 4 days that ended off that final full week. But that's like that's the most I've done there in literally about a year. If you go back and look at the show that was uploaded before Code 3, WRTH Code 3, it was last year's episodes of WRTH. So um, but I finally have some time in my life now where I'm actually writing again, working on stuff. Um, there's a and this is my own fault, but there's a series that I did long ago and far away called Hyperlinked History. And that was actually my first like real podcast. And I it, because of the way the internet works, all of those episodes are lost. They're just fucking gone. And that's
Ah.
okay, because it was also like my first podcast and it sounded like my first podcast. I had some cheap ass desktop microphone. I mean,
Mm.
it sounded horrible. And uh so what I've been doing is kind of going back through and re-recording those and just re-releasing it because for all that anyone knows, that shit's new. So, but the thing is just with everything going on, like you say, with life and everything, it's like, okay, well, this shit's already written. It's done. I have all the scripts. All I need to do is speak into a microphone while a red light flashes. And I haven't done that.
Yeah. No, I
So,
mhm.
so yeah, I'm getting back on that. I've got another show that I need to get back on called Cause for Calamity. Um which I one of those things that I didn't discover this, but it became known to me. One of the greatest cartoons ever made that lasted for one season and was just abruptly canceled in the middle of its run was this show called The Legend of Calamity Jane.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, no one has heard of this
No, I
except the
haven't.
people. The people who have heard of this tend to be really into this. And so that was, something that I became aware of as I was doing some research. But I found out about this show. It's like, what the hell is that? Because it was on during the 90s. Well, I watched nothing but cartoons during the 90s. I mean, so it's like this, and this was on TV. Yes, it was on TV. I've never fucking heard of this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Internet Archive.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, they had the entire run, and it was like, okay, well, oh, well, shit. Okay, here it is. Well, I'll just go ahead and sit down and watch episode 1. And I grew up in a family that loves Western movies.
Okay.
I probably from the age of 5 to probably 10, 11, I watched almost nothing but westerns and old movies. My parents are huge old movie fans, and I probably actually didn't go to a real cinema until I was 9 to watch a new movie. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching the first episode of this cartoon, and it's got all of the tropes and the cliches, right down to the fact that her sidekick in this is literally Walter Brennan. And I want to say, shit, now I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's Frank Welker doing the voice, and it's Frank Welker doing a Walter Brennan impersonation. And I'm not even going to try and do it because I can't do impersonations worth of shit, but that's exactly what it is. And it's like, okay, so we're not only channeling Walter Brennan here, we're just ripping his ass off. Okay, gotcha. And she's got, Calamity Jane. They've already taken some liberties with it because, of course, she's gorgeous. If you actually look up what Mary Jane Canary looked like, not so much. Not so much. But whatever her looks are, doesn't matter. But she's gorgeous, and throughout, like, literally the first 2 episodes, they talk about how the Indians and the Native Americans and the First Nations have gotten screwed by the white man. They address racism with buffalo soldiers in this show. Even though, you got the old coot that's Walter Brennan, he's treated as an equal and all of that. He's competent. Yeah, he's the sidekick, but he's a competent sidekick. She does have a romantic sort of thing going with the captain of the fort or whatever, who is also an Irishman. At least he's of Irish descent. And I'm saying, like, Jesus, well, now I know why this show got canceled, because I bet it brought up a whole bunch of questions that no one wanted to answer at the TV studios.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's literally one of the best cartoons I ever saw.
I'm gonna have to find this.
Oh yeah, it's on the Internet Archive. Just
I
look
love that place.
Look for The Legend of Calamity Jane. It's only 13 episodes. They're half-hour episodes. You'll be done in an afternoon.
Wow.
I mean, and then you'll go back and watch it again because, like, holy shit, I'm sure I missed something, and you did. And and just to kind of start off with, the very first episode, and if you listen to the first episode of Cause for Calamity, I talk about almost nothing but this because I'm into the first episode of the podcast, and I'm halfway through the first episode of the cartoon. It takes that long to get into it because, like, okay, so first we need to talk about the treatment of Native Americans, and we need to talk about how the white men basically stole all of the land from the First Nations. And now we need to talk about how the white man worked with different Native American tribes and all of that, and just, kind of get into that. But literally, the first episode of the cartoon starts with them basically lynching a Native American. And not only is it one of those things where it's like, oh, we're going to hang this dude, and something happens that they don't hang him. No, they get him up on a barrel. They kick the barrel out from under him, and the rope goes tight before Calamity Jane shoots the rope.
Oof.
This is a cartoon.
and then you got the side story of kids asking their parents if this is real, and then they've got to say, well, yeah, it's real, but we don't want to talk about that shit.
And there's a line just right there where I feel so bad because I haven't watched it in a little while, and I need to go back and get, pardon the pun, but back in the saddle on this. But they're talking about how this Native American had rode into town, and he had robbed someone and beat them and so and so. And Calamity Jane just straight up says, this tribe doesn't beat their enemies. Only the white people do that.
Oh, oh,
I was
oh
like,
my
God.
God.
I mean, when the first time I watched this, I kept having to pause it and go, holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. It was 1994 or something like that. Okay. Literally one of the best things ever made. And I don't think it even made it through its first season because just, all the controversy that this thing, and the thing is, from what I could tell, there was no controversy. And all the research I did, it wasn't like people were writing letters to the stations and, picketing and saying, that this, portrays people in a bad light or something like that. I just think it was one of those things where some executive looked at that and said, "Oh,
Do we
we can't
really
do
want to
that."
go there? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a fantastic series. So yeah, that's, right now, those are my three things: is just trying to get through that, trying to get some hyperlinked history back on track, and doing the mainline show, which was Cyberpunk Librarian. I mean, yeah, it looks busy, but like I said, it's not. It's just been so crazy the last few months. I just haven't done shit with it.
I can relate. Right now we're at, like, this is peak planting season number 1.
Mm-hmm.
The next one will come up around March. And
Yeah.
then, in July, everything says, fuck you, I'm going to die.
Oh yeah. 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 That's Arizona. Would you
Yeah.
like to grow something in summer? No.
Well,
No.
there's a couple of things that are, like, epically, I mean, they handle our summer heat and just, I mean, like sweet potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Give me that heat.
Yeah.
And, there's a few other things. Melons and stuff do well if you remember to plant them right. And I keep reminding myself, I want watermelons again this year.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get them in the ground at the right time. But, yeah, life is funny. Life, it changes daily. We've been through some, I'm not going to get into it, but some seriously epic shit here the
Mm-hmm.
last 4 months, and everything has calmed down and just in time for gardening. And it's time to start pushing other things. And so I'm ready to do this, and I'm bracing up and looking for new guests. And oh, look, I got one.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, I tell you. And man, I hats off to you. I take my hat off, but I pull my headphones off.
Yeah,
Hats off to you for the gardening thing, because if there's one thing I don't have a talent for, I mean, I could kill a fake plant. I could kill a fake plant real easy. I mean, it's just I we have a tomato plant that we literally shoved into a barrel outside of our front door. And the only reason it survived is because this must be one hardy as hell tomato plant. And my parents would water it pretty much daily. And swear to God, that thing produced far more tomatoes than it had any right to. Now, my dad's a good gardener. You're a good gardener. I couldn't plant anything and expect it to grow properly. I'd plant potatoes and come up with roses.
that's not a bad deal.
Yeah,
Unless,
well,
of
you
course,
can't
you're
eat
hungry for
them.
potatoes.
Yeah, exactly.
Juanita is the brains of the gardening. I'm mostly labor and watering staff. I mean, but
It's very important, though.
it is. And we're going into the time of year where I don't have to water everything every day. And that's lovely.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, that is nice.
So let me tell you a quick story.
Sure.
1996, 95, 96.
Mhm.
The internet truly isn't. There are these things called BBSs.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm bopping around off the Youngstown Freenet all over the place. I end up on this place in Bullhead City in the middle of the desert. And everyone, in public chat, this place is ugly. Everything is just okay. This woman comes in looking for people to help her with a tree planting project, and I'm going, this lady's Looney Tunes. Everybody knows don't shit grow in the desert.
Mhm.
This lady is my wife.
Nice.
And shit grows in the desert. You just got to know
Mhm.
how to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I was living in Mesa, I mean, there were literally, I would go running 3 blocks and be in an orange grove,
Mm-hmm.
just nothing but orange trees. So it can be done
Mm-hmm.
with a shitload of water.
And attention to detail and a
Hmm.
little more understanding. I mean, growing up in Ohio, put the seed in the ground, nature waters it, you're done.
Hmm.
Go pick.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
ain't got that.
No, that doesn't happen out there. And boy, BBSs, good Lord.
Yeah, I know.
I still think fondly of that stuff. I mean, you're right. It wasn't quite the internet, but it was better. I'm sorry, it just was better.
It was an exclusive club.
Yeah. And at least there was like like the height test outside the roller coaster. You must be this tall to
Mm-hmm.
ride the ride. At least with the BBS, you must be this smart to even get on, to
Mm.
even find the place,
Yeah.
let alone get on it. So,
And
yeah.
and rewriting initialization strings all the bloody time.
I could probably still recite what I used for my Hayes modem codes. ATS11 equals 45 L3M0, because I think that turned off the speaker or something like that. That sounds right. Yeah. The S11 equals 45 got you the speed dialing. L3 turned up the volume, but it would also cut as the connection was made, so you didn't have to listen to the modem screaming at each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, those were the days.
I met some of my lifelong best friends over that modem. We used to
Yep.
there was a game called Barren Realms Elite.
Oh, I'm familiar with this. I never played it. I was a Lord guy.
Okay, I
So,
did some Lord, but Barren Realms, we put together a team on this single line BBS,
hmm.
and we got our asses handed to us and handed to us and handed to us. So we decided we were going to start meeting and strategizing.
Sure.
So we had like three super nerds, a former Green Beret, um, what was a martial arts expert, um, a former SEAL,
Jesus.
and yeah, and so we'd get together at a Hooters because environment is everything,
Uh-huh. Yeah. And
and we would
it was
strategize.
Youngstown from the sound of it. So,
Yes, it was Youngstown.
so there
We
you
would
go.
strategize, and we got to the point where we had synchronized clocks. And in the last 10 minutes before midnight, when the data was dumped to the other BBSs, we would put in our last second attacks and then go to bed. And at the end of this, after about a year, if we were in a game, everybody else quit.
Nice.
It's like, no, we ain't going up against those guys, man.
They know what they're doing.
And we had a couple of rules, we had one guy start doing it non-sanctioned attacks. So we wrote to another board and said, no retaliation. This guy is doing the unsanctioned attacks. Take him out.
Nice.
We played clean, only. But those were fun days, man. Those
Oh
were
yeah,
really fun days.
absolutely. Every now and then I look at setting up like an old school BBS, and that's when I realized that just how big a pain in the ass that was. I mean, at the time it was fun, but
Mm-hmm.
at the time I was a teenager and had time,
Mm-hmm.
and I just don't now. And of
Yeah.
course, being who and what I am, I start thinking to myself, well, maybe I could write a BBS system that wasn't so shit to set up. And that's a good fucking idea, Dan. The current software isn't that great. So what you need to do is invest your time in making more software. Jesus. Thank you. No.
I consider that from time to time myself, and it's the maintenance. I mean, the software, it's all buggy. And
Yeah.
if you're not on it, you know, frequently, then it's crash and burn and buy.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I ran a World War IV based BBS, and every now and then there was like an update that come through, or you'd find out that, oh, you need to go into this line in this file and change this because apparently passwords might not work if you don't. So yeah, shit like that. I mean, it was
Yeah,
just like, how the hell did, okay, I don't even want to know how this got through, but well,
yeah.
it got through because there was one dude writing it. I think Wayne Bell, I think, was his name. And it's just basically it was his baby. That's what he did. He wrote World War IV BBS.
We the one that I co-sys up on was on Renegade.
Oh yes, yeah, Renegade was a favorite too. I mean, in the Yakima area, there was a lot of World War IV. You had World War IV, you had VBBS, RBBS, which was, I never liked RBBS.
No, there was something about it.
I just didn't like the interface. I mean,
Yeah,
fucking ASCII text and something just above a command line interface. But still, it wasn't as good. Damn it.
Yeah.
And there was, oh god, there was one other, someone, Wildcat. That
Oh,
was it.
geez, yes.
Wildcat. Yeah. Yeah. By that point, all of like the, I guess you could call them at the time legacy BBSs had gone away. So you didn't have anyone running anything on an Atari. There might have been one person that was still hanging on with a Commodore 64, but by the time I really got into it, pretty much everyone was running something off of a PC. So as DOS at the very least, Windows at best. So
yeah, man, I just like all these memories coming through now. I haven't thought about this in a long ass time.
Oh yeah, the funny thing is that trope that's kind of going around, that meme, how often a day do men think about Rome? I don't think about Rome at all, but I will spend like minutes thinking about BBS systems and shit. So, I don't give a shit about Rome, but let me tell you about Backwaters of the Mind BBS in Yakima, Washington. And Ether and the Shadow Realms and shit like that. I mean, the Trauma Zone,
every community had a Shadow Realms BBS.
Yeah. And the Trauma Zone, which was literally ran by an EMT.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, he had great ANSI art too, because he'd log in and be an ambulance and shit. So yeah, it was a cool place. It was a cool scene. If you go spelunking through Jason Scott's textfiles.com, he's got some old BBS stuff, and if you look hard enough, you'll find stuff from Yakima, Washington. It was the 509 area code. And one of my friends to this day, if you look, real close to those cans of beer over on the bookshelf behind me, he is co-owner of a place called Varietal Beer Company in Sunnyside, Washington. He and one of his friends ran a board called Ether, and it was one of the best boards in the Yakima area. But the tagline that you'll find on Jason Scott's textfiles.com thing about this was a quote from the SysOp that says it was all about Salamander and Poncho, who are two of like sort of the star users on that BBS. And that's yet another line that lives rent free in my mind. Every now and then it comes back to like, shit, that's a novel that I can't write because I'm not good enough. But someone should write a goddamn BBS novel about Salamander and Poncho. Yeah.
Oh man, this is one of the things I really like about this show, because who'd have guessed we'd end up here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, as soon as Sam was like, "Oh, you and Mike should talk," it's like, okay, yeah,
yeah,
I mean, Sam,
exactly.
Sam's good people.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I'll probably get along with him. Shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, Sam's a good guy. I actually met him. He was dating a friend of mine, and I met him through her. And I still talk to her, and I still talk to him, although they have been not together for decades.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it just had it not been for my friend Laura, I would have never met Sam. And like we hit it off immediately. Just immediately. I turned him on to oh god. Are you up there on the shelf?
I'm glad to see someone else does that. I don't have a lot of shit, but the stuff I do is precious,
Oh, the Illuminatus trilogy.
Oh yes,
I turned him on to
yes,
that.
good stuff.
And, just, and if I need to discuss, Sam, I need some new music. I'm just, shit's getting stale. Okay.
Oh
Always good
God,
for that.
I I thought I knew shit about music. I don't know a damn thing about
Mm-hmm.
music compared to Sam. I mean,
Yeah.
when I started tuning into his sessions where he's spinning on Mixler and stuff like that, it's like, holy shit. I got to the point where I don't listen to him without something to take notes, because he's kind enough to like post what the song
Yep.
is in the chat, and it's like, shit, I need to get that. I got to get that one too, and that one.
I have a little notepad open when I'm listening to him, and I'll just type in.
Hmm.
It won't let you copy paste. So,
Yeah, I've got a playlist in Apple Music that is literally called Coin Ops. Because uh, it's just okay. Well, this is shit that I picked up from Coin Ops, and
mm-hmm.
and I'll look at it like 2 days later and it's like, I don't remember any of these songs, and then I'll hit play. And it's like, oh, I remember
Oh,
this song.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember this one. This is good.
And he'll do things in a DJ set that blow my freaking mind.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, break into a comedy sketch. What?
Hmm.
And then come back out and just like
And
it's
come out
it's
and
a
come
roller
out with it
coaster
making
ride.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
works. And you're like,
yeah, he'll fade out of a George Carlin thing into a song that George Carlin might have been talking about or something like
yeah,
that. It's like, God damn it,
yeah,
I can't even.
no.
And I can write, but I can't do that. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with that.
I love music, and I'm kind of focused on several particular styles that I
Mhm.
truly like.
Yes.
And it takes someone like Sam basically to get me out of that and looking at something that I probably wouldn't have seen otherwise.
That's exactly what I need. I mean, I'm one of those prototypical dudes. Well, I listen to everything. Well, yeah, I do listen to everything, but really I listen to about 3 genres day to day, all day long. And that's, where I live, and that's my happy place. But
Okay, do
yeah.
tell. What are they?
Okay. Even though I'm a 47-year-old man, I actually trend more towards like the late 80s, because most of my musical tastes revolve around folk music.
Okay,
American folk, like I said, I'm into bluegrass, love bluegrass, but especially anything that's Celtic related.
okay,
Um, so I got into Celtic folk totally by accident because the NPR station in Yakima carried Thistle and Shamrock with oh shit, I just lost her name. This one Shamrock. Shit, it'll come to me in like
uh,
5 minutes. Anyway,
uh,
I want to say her name's Fiona. That might be right. Anyway, Thistle and Shamrock, which is just an NPR show that played nothing but Celtic, and I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. I want to listen to more of it. So I got into Irish Celtic and stuff like that through that, and then gradually realized that Celtic doesn't mean just Irish folk.
yeah,
And so I started getting into Welsh folk and Brittany, Brittany in France, and which led me to Cape Breton folk, which is in Canada, which is where the Britons went when they crossed the ocean. So stuff like that, and that got me heavily, just totally by accident, because I was listening to Thistle Radio on Soma FM. She played this song that it was one of those songs that changes your life. Every now and then you get one of those and it's magical.
mm-hmm.
And it was a song called Le Coeur de Mamel. And I was like, what the fuck is this? It's not Celtic. And they're singing in French. What the hell is this? But then I started realizing, no, no, this has a Celtic vibe to it. Who the hell is this? It's a group called Le Vent du Nord. Okay, whatever. So in the space of a song, it's like maybe 6 verses long. I went from this is interesting. Oh wow, I really kind of like this. Which group is this again? To okay, I need to listen to everything these assholes have ever recorded. And I
I know that so well.
yeah, my poor wife, she puts up with so much shit from me and my musical taste because a few years back, Le Vent du Nord appeared at the Bloomington Folk Festival up in Indiana, which is like 2.5 hours away. What the hell? It's like, I'm going. You can come with me if you want, but I'm going. Because it was free. You had to pay to get into the festival, but everything after that was free. You could go to any show you wanted. Well, I didn't give a shit about anybody else. Le Vent du Nord was going to be in this main tent. And I got in, we got there. We're kind of wandering around. We got there early because I have to be there early. I can't miss them. Things
Mhm.
might happen. We
Yes,
might
I
have a
know.
flat tire.
Hmm.
We'll hit a buffalo. All right. So, and by the time we found the tent where they would be playing, I was like, okay, there they are. Literally, there they are, the musicians. And I'm almost having like this, fanboy moment.
Hmm.
Um, by the time they started their concert, we had gone in, we were the first people in the tent. Um, they were selling beer outside Bloomington Brewery, one of the finest amber ales I had ever had. Um, got to talk with the guy that's usually the lead singer. His name's Nicola Bories. And oh my God, just super chill, cool guy. He plays a hurdy-gurdy.
Mm.
And this dude's got pedals hooked to his hurdy-gurdy. He does shit with this hurdy-gurdy. Um, but there was this lady there, and she's got like this little kid, and this little kid had never seen a hurdy-gurdy before. And he speaks English, but oh my God, it's with a thick Quebecois accent.
Hmm.
And he's got this thing open. I mean, he's opened it up to show her how the strings work, and you turn this crank and it rubs against the strings. It's kind of like a violin, but instead of a bow. And just going through how this whole thing works, it's like, oh my God, you are exactly what I wanted you to be.
Hmm.
Thank you for not turning out to be a bunch of assholes.
Right. Yeah.
So so yeah, when we went through that concert, I was like, a 16-year-old girl watching the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Hmm.
I was jumping up and down, screaming, crying. It was wonderful. So all that goes back to the fact that I listened to a shitload of Celtic folk from all manners
Hmm.
of from the Celtic experience. After that, it's ambient and space, which I kind of put into the same bucket, even though it's not really the
Not
same bucket.
quite, but yeah.
Yeah, but it makes sense for most people. I mean, Vangelis is not Steve Roach,
No.
is not Transponder, is not, Sinfera radio or anything like that. So, but I love all that stuff. For me, it's musical. It's what I call audio LSD. I've never done LSD because I know what that would do to me. And we would not be here talking if I had ever tried it, because I'd still
Okay.
be on it. I'd be on a trip someplace. But when I listen to that stuff, I can literally lay back, close my eyes, and I trip out. I can just trip out
Hmm.
on space music.
Yep.
The longer the set, the better. I mean, Steve Roach has got sets that go on for like 40 minutes, and that's one damn song. And that's fantastic shit. So that's my drugs right there.
Okay.
That and rum and coke, that's my poison of choice, and craft beer. And the third one after that, strangely enough, is progressive rock.
Oh, see, and that's my first.
Yeah. And I got into that, like almost all of my musical tastes. I got into that accidentally because I discovered Phil Collins, and then I discovered that he was in this band, Genesis.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll listen to Genesis. Oh, Peter Gabriel was in that too. I kind of like
Yeah.
Peter Gabriel.
Hmm.
And then it's like, holy shit. it opened my world up. And then back to the BBSing things. One of the guys that ran one of my friends that ran a BBS called Backwaters of the Mind in Yakima, Washington, was a huge Rush fan.
Oh.
I mean, he all of his taglines on the BBS were just quotes from Rush lyrics. His mind is not for rent.
Hmm.
I know he had, that's the one that immediately comes to mind, but he had several. Oh yeah, yeah, a modern day warrior, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, and as soon as I got into Rush, there was no looking back. I mean, it was Genesis and Rush all the way, and then it's just okay. Well, I need more prog rock now, please. So that's my three genres really.
Okay.
But yeah, I listen to everything else. But with people like Sam, it's like, oh, you need to hear this hip hop tune that you would have never fucking heard otherwise because it's not going to be on the radio. I mean,
Yes.
even if you were listening to the radio, Charlie Tuna is not going to be on the radio. And it's like, holy shit, who is this Charlie Tuna? Like, I've never heard of Charlie Tuna. And it's one of those things where I'm listening to this thing and I look him up and it's like, holy shit, he looks exactly how I hoped he would. This man has the best hip hop voice and he's got the look to go with. It's like, and once again, would never have heard of
Right.
that. Yeah. And That's why I tune into Sam's sessions whenever I can. It's like, okay, I'm gonna find some new shit. This is gonna be
Yeah.
great. So
I got into prog my sophomore year in high school, and pretty much everything I listened to up to that point was classical. Period.
yeah.
Period. A little jazz. But this
hmm
guy in my Latin class is like, "You like classical music, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm gonna bring you an album." He brought me Rick Wakeman's Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Nice.
Okay, so from that I go into Wakeman. From Wakeman I go into the Straubs. From Wakeman I go into Yes, and from Yes
Mhm.
you're gonna find Rush. You're gonna find Floyd. You're gonna find King Crimson. You're gonna find all of this stuff,
Mhm.
and it all started from you like classical music. You're gonna like this, and then boom,
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
Uh, my
And
my
there's a lot of parallels.
yeah. Symphonic metal is like my number two right now,
hmm
which
hmm
and then as you classify them together, space and ambient.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
I I do work all day listening to there's a online radio system called Soma FM. I call it a system
oh
because it's not a
geez, I forgot
station.
about those dudes. They're still
Oh
out there.
yes. Oh, absolutely. They're still out there.
Oh god
Um,
damn.
and yeah, for those tuning in that haven't heard of Soma FM, do yourself a fucking favor. The name is the thing. I mean, somafm.com.
Yeah.
They've got like, oh God, I don't know how many different stations they've got. It's got to be like 20. And, do you like ambient in space? Well, they've got like five different ambient in space space stations. I mean, they literally have one called Space Station Soma, for God's sake. I mean, so that's one of my favorites. Sinfera, which is a an ambient and space record label. They've got the station that plays nothing but stuff from their artists, and it's all. If there's a bad song, I've never heard it. I mean, some songs are better than others, but there's been nothing that's like, oh shit, not this thing again.
Yeah.
I mean, so I
I
but even
completely
if you don't
spaced
like
them.
ambient in space, I mean, they've got one that's one of the funnest stations ever online. It's called Secret Agent. And it's just like some of the cheesiest, like secret agent related music. I mean, not just like, Secret Agent Man or the theme from The Man from Uncle or
Yeah.
something like that. It's stuff that sounds like it should be in a spy movie, but never has been. I don't know who comes up with this collection, who curates this, but they're a genius.
Mm.
That's where I learned about if I had to pick a fourth group, pick a fourth genre, it'd be surf rock. Um, there's this group called the Messer Chaps, which I kind of got into because like, oh shit, Messer, my name's Messer.
Yeah.
Ah, that's funny. And then I started listening. It's like, oh well, I'm nowhere near as cool as these people. But yeah, they showed up on Secret Agent a couple times. Like, okay, well, this sounds good. I like surf rock, and oh my god, these that band's amazing. So yeah, if people are tuning in, go check out Soma FM. It's the best, and you're going to find something you like. Even their pop station, they've got a pop station called Poptron that I will go on record saying that they play pop music that doesn't suck. If you want pop music that just if you want music that is and sounds like pop music, but it's not your typical radio stuff like Britney Spears and shit like that, and Rihanna and all that, there's nothing wrong with those artists. They're just not for me.
Right.
Poptron, you can get that sound, but it's a completely different sound from someone that you've never heard before, and you're going to get your mind blown sooner or later.
Cool.
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot about them. I used to, I mean,
Oh, I
all the
mainline
time.
those guys almost every day.
Oh man. That and way back in the day, Otto's Baroque.
mm-hmm.
And
It sounds familiar.
it was one of the stations that was I found it through Winamp.
Oh yeah, because they did the shoutcast
Uh-huh.
things for a while. Yeah,
Right.
that was cool. That was oh my god, that was cool. Shit, I had forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Finding all kinds of cool radio stations through Winamp of all things. I mean, god damn. what a loss. I mean, what a loss that that thing, that software isn't as popular as it used to be, because Jesus Christ, you could find so much cool
Uh,
shit. And yeah, half of it's probably quasi legal, if not fully illegal, but
mm,
who gives a shit? I mean, pirate radio stations are as traditional as regular radio
they
stations.
are. But
Uh,
that's my problem with my station. And that's why it got a little pricey is I've worked with too many musicians for too many years to not pay the licensing fees.
yeah,
I
yeah,
have to
absolutely.
do it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I absolutely respect that. I mean, yeah. Oh
Jeez.
God, some of him.
Yeah. This has been a ride.
Yeah,
This has
seriously.
been.
Yeah, when you're done, go check them out again, because like literally they've got like 20 different channels, and it's November what? November 2nd. So they're gonna have their weird ass Christmas channels going now, probably.
I've already got them on the other screen.
Perfect. There you go.
I'm not taking the chance of forgetting this shit. I'm just not.
Yeah, no, they used to have one. I don't know if it's still there, called like Christmas in Frisco or something, where it's like regular Christmas tunes, the classic ones, but they were just done by what the fuck ever artists. I mean, yeah, you get punk music, punk bands doing, "Oh, Come All Ye Faithful" or what the hell ever.
But no, yeah, I just like, okay, new window, go. Okay, that's it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't meet too many BBS nerds, I mean, most of
Oh,
us are, well, and you're, no, don't take this wrong. You're a little young to be a BBS nerd.
kinda, yeah. I got into it at the tail end, because in the late 90s, that was sort of the last big before the internet really came
Yeah,
along and, drank the BBS milkshake. And we really lost something. I know it was a pain in the ass to use. It
sure.
wasn't as friendly. It wasn't as easy as a web browser. 100%. It wasn't as easy as a web browser. But God, you just don't have that. You don't have that local sense of community
Hmm.
anymore. That, if nothing else, is brought to you by the fact that it was expensive to call long distance, so you only call BBSs in your community.
Hmm.
So,
Until they come up with Telnet.
yeah, exactly. And now,
Telnet changed the world.
yes, and now you can telnet, and well, you can telnet into World War IV BBSs.
Hmm.
I flirted with that for like 2 days, until I was like, dude, you can't do this right now. This is a late thing. I mean, if
Yeah,
you want to set up a BBS, fine, but take a look at this list of shit that you need to do
yeah,
before that. I mean, yeah, because like I said, there was like probably one Commodore 64 board that was still running, and I never ran a BBS on a C64. I had a C64, but I never called or ran a BBS on a C64. So,
no, I
and
never
now
had
that's
one.
and now that's one of those things that I'd really like to run a BBS on a C64. I have no idea why. I've got no experience in that, but it just sounds fun.
It's nostalgia on top of nostalgia.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even rose colored, rose tinted glasses. I mean, it's the glasses aren't even real, let alone the color, because I
Mm.
have no knowledge of what that's like. You know, Especially the fact that you would definitely have to have, what was it, two of the 1541 floppy disk drives to run that shit off of, because one would be your BBS and the other would be your file system, so people
Yes.
could download the latest
Hmm.
wares, or whereas, depend. That was the GIF argument before GIF and GIF became an argument. Was it whereas or whereas? Pirated materials.
Well, and going to software shows where there's just cases and cases of, you know, I can't, the big ass floppy disks. What were they?
Like the 5 1/4.
Five
There's
and a
like, what was
quarter,
it? Yeah, and then up
and
from
then the
that was
three and a
eight.
half was the little one.
Yeah, 3 1/2 was the little one that wasn't floppy, but it was in a hard case. Yeah.
Yeah, just boxes of them, full, full of software for like
Hmm.
$1,
Yeah.
and it was 100% pirated.
Mhm.
100%.
Absolutely, it was. And fresh copied that morning. It was like, this was freshly copied. As the
Yeah.
as freshly copied as the orange juice was freshly squoze, you know. Yeah. Like I said, you don't have that community anymore. I mean, it's great that you can have a BBS that everybody can get on, everybody in the world, but
Right.
uh, there was that, that sense of thing where, especially in Yakima. Yakima it was a small city. I won't call it a small town. It's not a small town. It's a small city. But the thing is half the people that I was getting on and talking to on the BBS, I went to school with. I could put faces to these names tomorrow.
Mhm.
So, that you don't get that anymore. It's, kind of a loss.
Well, see, that's BBS is where I grabbed Merlin.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I started being Merlin.
Uh-huh.
And it is stuck. I mean, got to the point, I mean, before I left the Youngstown area, I'd walk into a place, hey, Merlin, just,
Yep.
when I met my wife over the BBS there, I mean, she was Lil, I was Merlin. It took me forever to be comfortable calling her Juanita because that's not who she
Yeah, no, I
was.
get you. And the funny thing is, when I was growing up, I know like 6 people named John, which I know it's a common name, but I think I have a larger preponderance of Johns in my life. My mom would keep track of some of them by their BBS names
Oh
because
my God.
that's just what I would call them. And
Yeah.
my friend John Cope, who, like I said, he's the co-owner of that varietal beer, he would just it's like, my name is not Connor. That's just my online name. Jesus Christ. Like, I get it, but that's how I can differentiate you.
Yeah.
Which John? Because there are literally 3 Johns here. So, but yeah, and the funny thing, with you talk about the names and stuff, for the longest time, I went under my online persona was a Fester Bester Tester. That was sort of like my online name, and surprisingly, it fit. And I got that from Old Mad Magazine shit. Because like I said, even though I'm a 47-year-old man, I actually grew up in like the 50s or something like that. Still
Yeah.
love the Kingston Trio. The first generation was the best, but so I had all these old Mad magazines and the paperback books that you could buy at the grocery store and stuff for like $2.99 or something like that. And one of the guys in there, Don Martin, he had a very distinctive art style where he always drew feet that always were like this as the person walked. I mean, if you ever look at an old Mad magazine and find like this these comics where the people have the weirdest feet and the weirdest sound effects in the comic, Don Martin, guaranteed.
Okay.
But he had a fairly recurring character called Fester Bester Tester. And I was like, well, that guy's he's a schlub. I mean, he's just, he's kind of a grown-up Charlie Brown. He's the loser, that's what he does. And for some reason I just connected with that. I mean, I don't think I was a loser. I was, awkward and stupid teenager, but no, I don't think it was that bad. But to this date, when I'm working in library stuff, every time I need to set up like a testing account on a library system where it's like I need a patron that I can screw around with and see if something's broken and
Okay.
it won't break a real patron,
Right.
I make a Fester Bester Tester. And everybody in the system knows that if you see Fester Bester Tester, that's a testing patron. The clue is in the name,
Yes.
and Dan made that. And on some systems, I need more than one of these. So I've got a Fester Bester Tester and a Chester Bester Tester and a Sylvester Bester Tester, and just anything that I can get to rhyme with Tester. So it's one of those things, like, you don't think about how much a stupid BBS meant to you when 20, 30 years on, you're sitting there using your online persona to do your job.
Some of my best friends are still from, those days. My very best friend back in Ohio. I met him and, phone lines, living in the parents' house. Can't get on the BBS till evening because, God forbid, you should block a phone call, or a phone call would kick you offline.
Or someone picks up the phone because they don't know you're online. Yeah.
But we used to basically we hang out, drink coffee, and shot the shit, and there was just a whole group of us. But I'm like, he's like, "What do you mean? I gotta go home and get on the boards. It's night. I gotta go." And he's like, "What is this shit?" And so I took him to the house and I showed him. He's like, "That's really cool." The next day, he had a computer in his room with a modem.
Mhm.
Now, granted, these
Yep.
were 4800 baud modems
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
way back.
Yep.
And he's part of the Baron Realms team, and yeah, I talk to him all the time.
Mhm.
Bunch of the others,
Yep.
we're starting to die off, a couple of us now, but I mean, look at us,
Yeah,
we're
no,
old.
I get that. Yeah. And even if you're not old, life happens, and
Yeah,
sooner or later someone gets bust or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
And yeah, I know for a fact that a few of them from that community have passed on. I've read their obituaries. So
Mm-hmm.
like one of those things, Jesus Christ. Okay, well, especially when they're younger than I am.
Yeah, that's
And they
freaky.
might only be like, months younger than I am. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like, shit, they're younger than I. And something in the back of my mind, well, they were just a kid. Dude, they were
Yeah.
the same age as you. Well, we're not going to think about that right now, are we?
No,
No,
we're
no,
not.
no, we're not going to think about that. Thank you, other brain. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna do this because I'm gonna have to get to air pretty
Yep.
soon.
Good.
So before we go, plug your shit.
Okay, well, like I said before, if you want to check out my podcast, which I swear to God there are more new ones coming, cyberpunklibrarian.com is the best place to go. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's where it all goes. You could call Cyberpunk Librarian a podcast network, but that would really be some highfalutin delusions of grandeur if you want to do that. I don't do that, but it helps explain the concept. If you want to, catch me in like on the social media stuff, really, I got so done with Twitter ages ago, and I still get friends like, I can send you blue sky invites and you can go fuck yourself, is what you can say. I tried a social network run by Jack Dorsey. Not really incited to go try another social network run by Jack Dorsey. So
Yeah.
I'm on Mastodon because that's free and open source and I'm a nerd. So you can find me Cyberpunk Librarian at hackers.town. If you have a Mastodon account, you can plug that in.
Okay.
Um, hackers.town spelled exactly the way it sounds. There's no Z or weird spelling. It's HACKERS.TOWN. And yeah, that's probably the best places to catch me online. Um, I fell out with social media. I do have an Instagram account, but who cares? Um, but pretty much, if you look around and look for Cyberpunk Librarian, you will probably find me. I'm still shocked that no one ever took that sort of online moniker. But yeah, that's where you'll find me.
Okay, cool. It has been a pleasure getting to
This has
know
been
you.
literally the best night of my week. Thank you so much for having me. I
Oh,
mean,
you're welcome.
I had
I
no idea what was going to happen, but I figured I'd have a good time, and god damn it, I did.
well, I appreciate that, and that's all I want to do is I want to have some fun and share some shit, and then go do the
Yep,
next one because,
absolutely.
well, heads up, probably not right away, but I'm asking you back, so just you've been warned.
But let me know. I am often available, and I work for cheap.
Cool. All right, my friend, I am going to close this thing up. I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to stick a hose up my nose and just chill.
All right. Well, you take care, and it was great to meet you and talk with you.
It's been a pleasure. You have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Okay, bye bye.